The man who understands the power of detachment becomes unstoppable. Reflect on this. What does a woman truly experience when you stop pursuing her? Many think the answer is simple, but the reality is far more complex. When a man stops insisting, when he steps back without resentment or expectations, something shifts in the relationship. What was once taken for granted now appears in a different light. Controlled indifference isn't a trick. It's a statement of self-respect. The human mind operates in curious ways. When something is always available, it loses value. However, when it's withdrawn, it leaves a void that sparks reflection, uncertainty, and even renewed attraction. The crucial point here isn't what she feels, but what it reflects about you. In Stoicism, this principle is essential. You cannot control others' reactions, but you can control how you act. A man who masters his emotions, who neither clings nor begs, becomes automatically more attractive, and above all, freer. And here's the fascinating part. It's not all women react the same. Some will forget you, others will miss you, and some might even start seeking you out. But the most important thing isn't their response, it's how it affects you. Stay until the end, because I'll reveal how this mental shift can prevent you from ever feeling anxious about someone. Attention again. The initial impact. What would happen if, suddenly, you stopped messaging her, stopped pursuing her, and simply vanished? If you've always been there, waiting for a reply, do you think she'd notice your absence? Many men believe that the more they persist, the more interest they'll generate, but the reality is the opposite. What's abundant loses value. Absence has a greater impact than persistence. Imagine Daniel, who spent months messaging a girl who barely responded. Always available, always awaiting her next message. Each unanswered reply deepened his self-doubt. One day he made a bold decision. He stopped pursuing her not out of pride or anger, but because he realized something important. The urge to message her lingered, but then something curious happened. He was worth more than that. The first few days felt strange. He had shifted his focus. Here's the big lesson. Her reaction doesn't matter. If you step back with the intent to manipulate, you remain trapped by external validation. She began reacting to his stories, asking about him indirectly through mutual friends. His absence had sparked curiosity. But the best part was that Daniel no longer cared. What counts is the transformation within you. But if you do it because you understand your own worth, then you've already won. A man who dedicates himself to his growth rather than chasing is the one who truly makes an impact. Don't seek to be missed. Seek to be a man who doesn't need to be remembered to know who he is. Absence and perceived value. What's abundant depreciates, while what's scarce gains value. Reflect on this. Gold is valuable because it's hard to find. But when you disappear, when you focus on yourself instead of her, your perceived value changes. In the previous section, we saw that your absence creates surprise and confusion, but that's only the initial impact. The true power lies in how your absence changes the perception of your worth. In contrast, who gets excited about a common stone on the street? The same applies to relationships. If you're always available, always pursuing, always insisting, you become just another pebble on the path. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond that truly matters. Miguel didn't withdraw to manipulate. Was a man who was always available. He replied quickly, made plans, and worried excessively. But because a Stoic man doesn't depend on anyone's validation, though she said she liked his attention, she never truly valued it. Then one day, Miguel adopted a new mindset. He stopped putting her on a pedestal. Instead of waiting for her messages, he began focusing on his projects, improving his physique and personal development. She noticed the change. His absence stirred doubts and generated curiosity. He had gone from being a constant presence to a challenge. This is where Epictetus' lesson comes in. This happens with a delayed message, with someone who doesn't reply immediately, with a person who doesn't reveal everything about themselves. He simply stopped reacting, and that altered the dynamic. When a man controls his emotions, he displays self-discipline and confidence. He doesn't beg or insist, and that energy changes how others perceive him. Stop focusing on her and start focusing on yourself, not because you expect her to return. Uncertainty consumes you and you wonder if you did something wrong. When you understand this, you're no longer an option. You become a choice. The attraction of mystery and Stoic serenity. Have you noticed that what's uncertain is often the most captivating? If something is guaranteed, interest fades. But when there's uncertainty, when there's mystery, the mind becomes hooked. In relationships, it's the same. When a man is too accessible, predictable, and available, he loses appeal. Conversely, a man who projects confidence, calm, and detachment stands out. Imagine this. You message a woman, and she doesn't respond. Time passes. You check your phone, nothing. The next day, you message again. Still no reply. Now, you have two options. Option 1. React like most, insisting, asking if something happened, growing desperate. Option 2. Act like a Stoic, accept what you can't control, and carry on with your life. This is where Marcus Aurelius' phrase applies. The best revenge is to not be like your enemy. Marcus Aurelius isn't speaking of literal revenge, but of not falling into the same behaviors that weaken you. If someone acts with coldness or indifference, and you respond with anxiety, dependence, or anger, you become enslaved by their actions. True Stoic power lies in breaking that cycle. If you stay calm and continue your life, that's where you reclaim control. Not reacting doesn't mean being cold. It means being strong. Detachment isn't disinterest, it's self-mastery. A Stoic man doesn't step back out of pride, but because he understands his energy holds immense value. He doesn't chase or plead. He walks his path with serenity. When you master your emotions, you become the one who generates attraction. Not everyone will react the same way. It's time to face an uncomfortable truth. Not all women will miss you when you step back. Some will simply move on. Why? Because they were never truly interested in you. Others, however, will feel your absence as a void, not because they need you, but because they realized they took your presence for granted. But here's the essence. None of those reactions should affect you. If you depend on being sought after to feel valuable, you remain a prisoner of external validation. The flame doesn't chase the moth. It simply burns, and it's the moth who decides whether to approach or flee. A man who knows his worth is like that flame. He doesn't beg to be seen or plead for attention. He simply exists, and his energy attracts or releases without resistance. Expecting uniform reactions is like throwing a stone into water and demanding all waves be identical. Some will be small, others large, and some won't even register. The sun doesn't wait for everyone to enjoy its light, but the water flows on, regardless of how it reacts to the stone. A Stoic man doesn't wonder if he's missed. I asks if he's progressing. Shines for those who choose to receive it and continues its course. Your worth shouldn't depend on others' responses. If they seek you, fine. If not, that's fine too. Because the only validation that matters is your own. The true focus lies in your personal growth. Look around. If you base your happiness on someone else, you become a slave to their decisions. It's like building your house on sand. Each time that person pulls away, your stability crumbles. A Stoic man doesn't surrender control of his life to anyone. The most admired men aren't obsessed with external validation. They're like a river moving with force. Those who want to walk beside them will. Those who don't will fall behind. It's not arrogance. Stepping back isn't manipulation, it's direction. It's be a man of purpose and self-discipline. When your life has a clear path, relationships flow naturally. This is where Seneca's teaching comes in. Life is too short to waste on worthless things. Will you spend it worrying about someone who doesn't value you, or will you build something greater than mere validation? It's giving yourself the respect you deserve. You don't withdraw to make someone seek you. Step back because a man with purpose doesn't waste time on dead ends. Stop trying to control the uncontrollable and start mastering the one thing that truly belongs to you, yourself. After all we've explored, there's a truth you must remember. You can't control how a woman feels, but you can control how you live your life. If you've ever found yourself in a similar situation, I'd love to read your experience in the comments. What's in your hands is your mindset, your purpose, and the way you face each day. Your absence isn't a trick or a strategy to manipulate. It's a declaration of respect for yourself. It's understanding that you don't need to chase anyone to be valuable. When you stop seeking external validation and begin building from within, you become a man who doesn't depend on anyone to feel complete. If this approach resonates with you, share how you've applied Stoicism in your life, And if you want more content like this, subscribe and turn on notifications. Here, we talk about what truly matters. Being a man who masters his own life,